Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? Once again, everybody, Nev from Nev's Tech Bits, and today we're talking about Fitbit being sold to Google for 2 million, 2 billion, something amounts of dollars. I don't even care how much money they bought it for. The thing I care about is the fact that Google's going to be getting all of our information. So the techie of us go and we purchase the cheap ones, the cheap Fitbit trackers. Like, okay, this is not a really Fitbit, this is a cheap one. This is a cheap one, and I swear to God, China sells these things for almost absolutely nothing because they'll get your information. They will get your information. You got to use apps on the cheap ones that are really sketchy that send information back to China about you. And these Chinese individuals will get your information. I've actually, this one. When I got this one, everything seemed all fine. Everything seemed okay. I downloaded the app that was from the App Store, the Google Play Store. And then a little while later, all of a sudden, my AVG antivirus says, this thing is sending information to China about you. You shouldn't be using it. So I haven't been using that. But the idea that everyone's getting your information about your heart rate, about your location, about all of this stuff, well, it is just a little bit creepy. Information is information is power. Technology is trying to get a lot of information. Google is trying to get a lot of information. I find it interesting that Google says that they want to get Fitbit so that they can have a better mobile experience, wearables experience, but I really don't think that's what they're going for. I think the hardcore fitness enthusiasts are using Fitbits. I think the geeks are using Android Wear. And then I think the Apple people are using Apple Watch. And the cheap of us are using the cheap stuff. Blam, blam. But Fitbit, if you have a Fitbit, you know that Fitbit is made. Fitbit is absolutely created for the fitness individual. There's so much on Fitbit that you can use for your fitness. Now, there are other things that do fitness, this, that, the other, yada, yada, yada. And Fitbit has been falling behind a little bit. At least in 2019, I was really disappointed with my Fitbit Versa. I got a Versa 2, Fitbit Versa 1. The one doesn't even freaking work. Like, I can plug it in and it'll charge and whatnot, but I can't get any Bluetooth information to it, probably because I used it in the shower. It's my second Fitbit Versa. The first one, the battery started dying on it way too quick. I did a teardown of it. Really good stuff, lots of fun. But what I'm getting at is Google wants your information. That's the biggest thing Google's out there for. It gives you free stuff so it can get your information. When Google was new, they had a motto, don't be evil. They don't have that motto anymore, and it's probably because of all the issues that they've been having internally. Internally, they've had a lot of struggles, like being sued for being too right-wing, left-wing. Wait, that's my right hand. Not to you guys, so you know what I mean. They have been accused of being too much for feminists and then too much against feminists. They actually took a look at how much people make at Google, and it turns out that women were making more. So there's been a lot of fighting on the inside of Google, and all of a sudden they get rid of this do no evil, because evil is a conundrum. Evil is not... Sorry, I'm getting a message. Actually, this one just vibrates for no apparent reason. Anyways, evil is in the eye of the beholder. Because to some people, something is not evil, and to others, it is. Like for example, let's say we take someone from before the New Testament time, and the rules that were written, I'm pretty sure it was in Exodus. In Exodus, Moses gives the rules, and he says, "You shall not have cloth made of two different things." These days, that's not a big problem, but for someone who followed that, they would actually think that if someone had a cloth of two different kinds of fabrics, that they are evil. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to stone somebody for that. So this is one situation where something is evil for one person, but not evil for, like, the frickin' rest of the world. So evil is a conundrum. Evil is not something you can measure. Evil is not something you can put a ruler on. Evil kind of changes from one way to another. Evil is like love. It's really hard to identify. At the same time, it's really hard to be in a capitalistic society without being evil sometimes. And if you try to be too good, it's not going to work. It's like if you try to be too good, you're going to loop around and be evil again. If you can be so good, that you become too full of order and you become tyrannical. You can be so good on the other side that you become so good and everything erupts into anarchy. And the people over there would say, that's not good. That's evil. The people over here would say, that's not good. That's evil. You see, right wing, once you get too far, conservative, everything is too orderly. There's no beneficial bacteria. There's no good anything. Over on the left-hand side, the liberals, everything's going to de-evolve into anarchy. everyone's going to get raped, everyone's going to get killed, except for the super powerful. That's how it goes on the two extremes. Guys, don't be getting on social media and being social justice warriors unless you know this stuff. These virtue signalers are really getting frickin' old. And we're coming back to the whose fault is it versus who is a better human being. If it's your fault, then I'm a better human being. And if I can decipher why it's your fault, then I can be a better person. Anyways, I'm getting away from that. Google, don't be evil. Evil's a conundrum. There's a lot of fights going on within Google, and that's really disappointing. They're changing the way they're doing things, and they're telling people not to go public with anything unless they know the whole truth, because there's a lot of situations where you don't know the whole truth, but you think you do. There are a lot of intelligent people working for Google who probably aren't all that social, that haven't run into situations like this. But I'm sure that all of us have had a situation where we perhaps thought our wife or girlfriend was cheating on us when really they were just organizing a surprise party, you know, that kind of thing. But Google wanting our information. This is getting a little bit creepy now because they want to know our information about our hearts. Now, right now, I don't think Google is evil, and I don't mind Google having all of our information because of how they are right now. But what if they become evil? What if Google becomes evil? Seriously. Like, really, what if Google becomes evil? At the same time, what benefits could we have from this? If Google could see us all, if Google could tell our heart rates, if Google could tell our locations, could our lives improve, actually, from this information? Now, we're all supposed to have a certain level of privacy. But as long as Google isn't selling all of our information with our names and that stuff, are we okay? What if Google was just selling our information based off of a number, an algorithm, and not like, this is Nevin, who lives at, who works at, who does, you know? What if they're just selling our information? I think it's creepy. I'm really starting to think this stuff is creepy. And that's saying a lot. As a tech guy, there's a lot of creepy things that go on online. But knowing your heart rate, knowing your location, that's the next thing. Technology is coming into our homes, ladies and gentlemen. Technology is here. Orwell's living large. Orwell's here and now, ladies and gentlemen. Is that how freaks said it in Hackers? Living large. Anyways, that's it for me. Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. Let's hope Google doesn't go off the deep end and go super evil. I definitely think that they are trying to get more information on individuals. I think they're trying to get our bio information so that they can have more information to work with. Okay, guys. Okay, I'm just throwing this out there now. This is going on a bit of a rant, but okay. So religions have often made countries. The Dalai Lama had Tibet. Tibet was a Buddhist nation led by the Dalai Lama until the Chinese came into it. There are religious countries in the Middle East who are Muslim. There are countries in the Middle East that are all about being Muslim. The Muslim state. And in Christianity, the Vatican was Roman Catholic. And the Vatican, a lot of people say the Vatican, they think of a city. It's not a city, it's a country. And they were huge, and they got their ass kicked by the Italians. They got their ass kicked into the Vatican, and where they stayed, and they refused to actually admit that Italy was a place until right around World War II, where Mussolini made a deal with the Pope, saying, if you don't say what we're about, if you don't have a problem with anything we're about to do to the Jews, we'll let you stay there if you recognize that Italy's a place. So then all Italians right now, not all Italians, but most Italians are Roman Catholic. At the same time, these same Italians beat the Roman Catholic country back into a city, and now they're worshiping the religion that the city stands for. How the hell does that work? Anyways, I'm sorry for going off on a rant there, but what if Google, what if Microsoft, what if Facebook made their own country? What if they made their own country? Maybe they don't need to anymore, because wars aren't really happening much anymore. Wars used to be about resources, natural resources. They're still about natural resources, but they're not the same thing. Back during World War I, before World War I, when people would just raid each other, countries raiding each other for little bits of land, this and that, all over the place. And then when World War I came, it was just a bunch of ignorant men smoking in a powder room, as it was said. And frick, that did happen. But anyways, what if Google made its own country? What is stopping Google from making its own country? So, Jim Jones, sorry, from Jonestown, made Jonestown, purchased land in South America, Guyana, purchased land, and there they had Jonestown. I wonder if Jonestown for Google could be purchased. Anyways, that's just it for me. Neff from Neff's Tech. But like and subscribe if you like this kind of stuff, and be prepared for Google to be getting your information about your heart rate. Hey, maybe they can warn me if I'm about to die now. That's it for me. Neff from Neff's Tech. Like and subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. Always appreciated, and take care of each other. Don't be being creepy. We might be all we got. Have a good one, folks.